Hi, guys. Hey, everybody. Hopefully, you can hear me and see me okay. The room may still have that strange echoey quality because it's empty. Still a lot of things being worked on here. Hopefully, this is working. Somebody asked a really good question right before we came on just now, and that's as good as as good a place as any to start with. Samuel Hughes, he asked a really good question. What he says is, and we're just going to jump right into this. I'll come back and start again in just a second, but I know I won't remember this question if I don't. Samuel says, a week ago, Damien posted on IG that the Hebrew God Yahweh is the demiurge from Gnosticism, not actually the supreme being. If this is the case, why do we invoke Yehovah, YHWH, during the middle pillar exercise? This is one of those things that's a little bit difficult to articulate because you're doing it for a bunch of different reasons on a bunch of different levels. One level is that, that's kind of what they talk about, attaining the knowledge and conversation of the HCA. This is just whenever you get the name or the image and can start invoking it. And whenever you start invoking it, you will start to receive downloads. That's the first phase of the practice, the HGA practice. But eventually, before you can move on to further stages down the road, you have to marry the HGA. You have to combine with it to become one. It's a little bit impossible to say whether you consume it or it consumes you, maybe a little bit of both. But you come out of that experience as not entirely the same person as you were before, not entirely different, but not the same either. But you're absorbing the HCA, your holy guardian angel, is also this egregore, this demiurge that Samuel was talking about. All of these different traditions, they're all describing the exact same phenomena, just from different angles, from different views. So from one view, a certain thing might look like an amazing experience, and from a different view, the same event may look kind of forbidding or even terrifying. Depending on the way that the person is describing it. Like, for example, if you tell someone that when you reach the end of this path, you will be snuffed out, you'll cease to exist. Most people would think that sounds horrifying. Why would you do that? But that's exactly what enlightenment is. That's what nirvana means. It means snuffed out. So those are two things that, depending on how you describe it to someone, either looks like a favorable and desirable thing to obtain, or maybe not so much. But ultimately, end of the day, everything said and done, if you do not go through that stage of the process, you can't get to the higher stages of the process. I can't remember what this was in. It was in some kind of Greek paper at one point. It was an alchemical paper, but essentially it was talking about invoking your way up through the planetary levels, like the spheres of energy that make up your aura, or that also make up the universe, using Aristotle's cosmological map. It was basically entities or intelligences that represented each of those levels talking to us, and the final one, which is Saturn, says it's something like, if you reach the seventh will show you how to reach the eighth, something along that line. But it's basically you have to go through this thing. You have to meet this thing, and you have to absorb the internal. How everything that is external also has a reflection internally, as above, so below, as within, so without. You have to not only meet it, but you have to absorb the part of it. You have to become one with the part of it that is in you. That's what you're saying. Whenever you're doing the middle pillar, I think that was it the ritual you asked about. Yeah, the middle pillar exercise. In the middle pillar, when you're vibrating these names, Ehyeh, Yehovah Elohim, Yehovah Elohim, Shaddai Elkai, Adonai Haaretz, these are not just names. They're names that have a meaning. And when, I've pointed this out a few times, just how you're saying a sentence whenever you're saying these names. Yes, you're saying names of God, but for example, Ehyeh means I am. It's what the bush answered when Moses asked, "Who are you?" The burning bush says, "I am." Technically, what it said was Ehyeh. So you're saying, I am the Lord God of knowledge and wisdom, the Almighty Lord of creation. You are reminding yourself that you are God, that there is nothing in between you and it, nothing in between you and your Father, if that's the way you want to describe it, to use language that a lot of people think is archaic these days. Let's see what you guys are talking about real quick. Give me 1 second. So it's a weird time here, just once again adapting and adjusting to moving, this time across country. And in a lot of ways it's incredibly traumatic. I mean, I feel really kind of shaken to my core, just because of all of the psychological and emotional and all the energetic, all of the changes that occur whenever you go through something like this. I feel kind of like I'm super jet lagged or something. But I'm also, part of that, whenever we feel that, whenever we go to a new place and we have that lag, that like weird energetic hangover, especially in my case, leaving New York, this was part of, I had become part of this ecosystem. And whenever you are removed from it, ripped out of it, and put somewhere else, then it's like a chunk of a place and a chunk of you has been torn out. Like all of the energy, what people call your roots. When people talk about things like putting down roots, what they're talking about, they may not be able to decipher this on an entirely conscious level, but what they feel. 1 second, guys. It says my connection is unstable. Okay, hopefully that worked. It keeps saying my connection is unstable. But anyway, especially if it's a place that you felt intensely about emotionally. Well, guys, now you see part of what life here is like. Dealing with things like this. There's a lot of aspects to life down here that you don't think of. I can't remember if I told you guys this, not already, but I didn't realize that like internet companies, for example, they save most of their internet, whatever the hell you call it, what is it, bandwidth or whatever it is that people use to get on the internet. They save that for the biggest major cities in the U.S., starting, New York, L.A., and then everything goes down from there, like Seattle, all of that. But the poorest places in the United States, the internet companies save them like the very dregs of the internet. Like you cannot get, it's insane doing things like getting the internet here. In some ways, it can be almost like living in a third world country, but it's good. Well, what I mean by good, the reason I say that it's good, the reason it's so kind of amazing is because what it does is it forces people here to not live on their phones. When you're walking down the street here, you see people like listening to music, people are eating, people are dancing, people are actually experiencing their lives. They're experiencing whatever it is that they're going through out there. Rarely do you see anyone, I mean, you'll see it every now and then, like young girls taking pictures for each other against a mural on the wall or something like that. But for the most part, most people are just actually experiencing life. And to me, I've experienced it the other way too. Like in places like in New York and LA, it's like people have come to almost believe that they're living in an Instagram post. Life is almost secondary. Like the only reason life even exists is almost to provide background for the next Instagram selfie. And I mean, it's completely the opposite here. People are really living. So, there's good points and there's bad points to it. So far, I gotta say, I am really, really loving it here. Everywhere you go, how I was just talking about in New York, for example, how whenever you're removed from that environment, it severs, it rips free all of your energetic connections. And whenever you get put somewhere else, deposited somewhere else, you have to form new connections with the new environment. Well, whenever that happens, you will be a different person. You will not be the same person in every place you go. And for me, I guess that's the main interesting thing about traveling. Whenever I travel, I like to see in which places I'm going to become someone that I enjoy being. When you go, you can tell a difference depending on from place to place where you go. Things like how you dress will change. The music that you feel like listening to will change. The kind of food that you're craving will change. You may find yourself completely going outside of your normal daily routine and doing completely new things. And what I'm finding is that I like the person that I am here in New Orleans. That being said, it's still taking me a while to get up and running, so have patience with me. I thought we would go back a little bit tonight. Let me see. Shane, I'm not sure how to answer that question. Shane Kerrigan is saying, why does the Golden Dawn use inconsistent direction for invoking and banishing pentagrams? I've read different sources saying that banishing is always counterclockwise and invoking clockwise. That's usually talking about something completely different. That's usually talking about creating essentially cones of power, circumambulating. Like there was a thing for a while that got really popular, especially in the 80s and 90s, where if you were doing magic for something you wanted to build up, to increase, you circumambulated clockwise. And if you wanted to do magic to decrease something or to banish something, you would circumambulate counterclockwise. But the way you're drawing the pentagrams, that's just the way they are. They're not really clockwise or counterclockwise. They're just invoking and banishing. So I'm not really sure how to answer the entirety of that question. Sorry, but I hope that's at least partially useful. You see, just seeing what you guys are asking about. I'm kind of in the mood to just talk about whatever y'all are talking about tonight. Just kind of having a slow night and relaxing a little bit. Should we read some more? You want to go back into, because we've got some good stuff. I've got the Kabbalah of health and wellness here. And let me see. Okay, so I'm going to start reading at chapter 2, which is called Quabbalistic Practice of Prayer, Meditation, and Ritual. Let me see. In Kabbalah, there are three primary tools used to experience heightened states of consciousness, attune ourselves to the healing potential within and around us, and create conditions in our life that are more productive and beneficial. These tools are prayer, meditation, and ritual. So he's talking about, basically the three ways that we can change both our internal and external world is through prayer, meditation, and ritual. They also used to say that there's essentially three paths for returning to God. We all began as infinite source of consciousness, then we come here, and then our job is to return to the source from which we came, but we know we're not supposed to do it just in a straight line. We're supposed to curve and weave and have all kinds of amazing, beautiful experiences on our way back from where we came. And it's like Crowley said, I can't remember what he said it in, but he said something about I am divided for love's sake, for the chance of reunion. That's why we come here. We come here so that we can experience the joy of a reunion. We can't experience the joy of reunion without separation first. But the three ways they say to get back to to awaken to what you really are and what you really came from, there is meditation, there's ritual, and there's what they call drama. Drama is like Greek mystery school reenactments, from like the old mystery schools there. My brain is kind of all over the place tonight. Give me 1 second. Let's see. In Kabbalah, there are three primary tools used to experience heightened states of consciousness, attune ourselves to the healing potential within and around us, and create conditions in our life that are more productive and beneficial. These tools are prayer, meditation, and ritual. All esoteric systems use them to some degree, so it is important that each student take time to carefully utilize each of these tools in a balanced manner, thereby creating a sympathetic relationship between them for increased efficacy. The tendency to gravitate toward what we like or what has meaning for us is also the tendency to gravitate towards those things that reinforce our pathologies rather than bring them to the surface, address them, and integrate the raw material they represent. This is particularly true when working as an individual without the guidance of more experienced associates or teachers. A clear, simple, and regular practice can help us eliminate this problem and allow us to experience the emotional and physical health that we seek. So what he's saying, really, in a real simple, just to make it even more simple, he says that essentially when we start practicing magic, the practices that we are going to find that we're really good at. Just like whenever you go to the gym, the muscles that you're going to find that you enjoy working the most are going to be the ones that are the strongest already and that you're seeing the most benefit in. That's what makes you like to do it. But if we just stick to those things, if we don't do, the things that we aren't very good at, then we're never going to improve at those things. And what we want to be, to some degree, is well-rounded in magic. And this is the case for everybody, even me. There are things that I love doing, and there are things that I hate doing. For me, the number one thing that I love doing is ritual work because it's what I'm really good at, creating tons of energy and then sending it off to manifest something. It's always been really easy for me. The thing that I hate the most is any kind of divination. whether it be geomancy or uh, tea reading or palm reading or anything else. I just, well, for one thing, I think I'm just not interested in it enough. Uh, but those are areas of my education that are completely lagging and lacking. Let me see. Yeah, Jen says, is there any particular grounding work you are doing to establish yourself or make an energetic connection to New Orleans? Just curious. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I started doing here, even before we moved here this last time to stay permanently, as we were coming back and forth, I would go to spots in New York that I considered sacred, meant something very special to me. Like in Thelema, they say that you're supposed to create your own holidays. Like your main two holidays will be your lesser feast day, which is the day you were born, and your greater feast day, which is the day you die. And all in between, the only days that you really celebrate or pay much attention to are days that are holy to you, sacred to you, something meaningful happened on them to you. I had places like that in New York, places where I had done lots of magic over the years that I was there, places where I had experienced, profound moments of my life. I would do things like go get soil and get stones from those places and bring them here to put not just around New Orleans, but also just around the apartment where I'm living, to make that kind of energetic transition at least a tiny bit smoother and easier, just because I brought a little tiny bit of New York here with me. But I also do things like what we started doing now is, if you're familiar with Florida water is the stuff they use. I've never used it because it always reminded me of like the really some of the more beat up bodegas and stuff in New York. They sell this stuff called Florida water. And I've never really been drawn to it at all. To be honest, when I was a kid, I would see it and it just kind of always reminded me of old people, I guess. But when we moved in here, one of the neighbors gave us a bottle of it, and I used it for the first time. And down here, it just feels right. It feels like that's what you're supposed to be doing, what you're supposed to be using for cleansing. So one of the things that I've done a couple of times already is covered pretty much every inch of this place in Florida water. So I'm cleaning and scrubbing with Florida water, burning frankincense and myrrh in all of the rooms to bless and raise the vibration of each room. What else have I been doing? I brought a lot of stuff like ashes from incense that I was burning while I was in New York. I saved all of those ashes and I bring those here and sprinkle those everywhere. I've done quite a bit of stuff already. I think doing magic on your house for different things is one of the most practical things that you can possibly do in magic. Just because this is the place you're going to spend so much of your time. So, if you're doing a lot of constant ritual work on, just say protect this house and all within it every time you're doing these rituals, this would be the number one place that you want to focus that sort of energy. So I do that. Also do things, you can imprint. Here's what I mean about, when I'm telling you, you can use, when you're learning a lot of these rituals, you're learning formulas that you can use for a bunch of different things. You can use the middle pillar, or you can use the visualization, like we've done Kabbalistic visualization before. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. I don't think I really even feel like reading anymore. So we're going to talk about the ritual work of how to use this. but you can imprint energy that you put into anything. Like what I was just describing right now about bringing, all the work that I'm doing here to build this house up like a battery of protection. Um, for example, you have to come through a gate to get to my place. So for the most part, I try to stay invisible. So what you do is you charge the gate with a kind of energetic flavor that when people pass by it or people touch it, they automatically on some subconscious level get this feeling of don't really pay attention to this and keep moving. So it's like if people come into contact with the gate outside my house, it's charged to automatically make them just want to keep moving and pay no attention to it at all. That's what invisibility is. But you can program that into anything. And I'm going to tell you guys, you remember a while ago when we were talking about how if you just do the things that you're easiest at, you'll never get good at the other stuff, and that you want to be well-rounded? Well, to give you the easiest form of magic that I've ever done for manifestation, I have never, ever come across anything, and it's Kabbalistic in nature. I have never found anything, no matter how complicated or how long and drawn out and convoluted or how many tools it used, I have never found anything that was even remotely as effective as Kabbalistic visualization to manifest things. Now, that doesn't mean these things are the most effective at stuff like attaining the knowledge and conversation of the HGA, crossing the abyss, all of the consciousness related stuff. It's not the best for that. But you're always going to start with doing the lesser banishing ritual and or the lesser invoking ritual. Whenever you do that, you're going to absorb all of that energy that's in your area, and it's going to light your aura up. It's going to light your energy system up like a spotlight on the energetic level of reality. Anything you do at that point, when you're filled up with that energy, is going to be much more powerful than if you do it from just a normal everyday state of consciousness. Just the fact that you go through that little preparation is going to add tremendous amounts of energy to what you do after that. That's why people will do like the LBRP or the lesser invoking before they're getting ready to meditate. They'll do that and then sit and meditate, because a lot of times it'll cause, it'll speed up epiphanies, realizations, things like that. But it will also enhance any kind of manifestation that you do. So there's a bunch of different ways to use this stuff. This is just one way to do it if you're wanting to see something take shape in the world. When we were reading the Ted Andrews book, The Healer's Manual, he talked about how all you have to do is visualize a person, and they don't have to be anywhere near you. They can be on the other side of the world. And you just invoke the light and keep bringing the light down on them. And somebody on here, the Baked Nurse, okay, I think we're back. So she was saying that one of the ways that she realized that she really was connected to everyone else is because whenever she would bring that light down on other people in other places, she would also feel it come down on her. And it took her, a little while to figure out why that was the case, why she would feel it coming down on her before she put two and two together. But whenever you're working with the tree, there's, how they say there's energy constantly coming from Kether going down to Malkuth, and from Malkuth back up to Kether. There's this constant cycle of energy going between those. My brain went blank. What were we talking about? Oh, well, they say that there's two ways that it's coming down the tree and coming up the tree. When it's coming down the tree, this is how something manifests in the physical world. It begins at Kether, goes down to Hakma, goes over to Binah, goes down to Hesed, over to Geburah, all the way down the tree. It comes down like what they call a lightning strike. Whenever you're doing, and that's the most powerful way to do magic, following that pattern whenever you want to manifest something in the physical world. The way that energy returns from the physical world, the way it ascends back up to divinity, is the path of the serpent. And it goes in reverse, from Yesod to Had to Netzach to Tiphareth, weaving on up the tree. So, for example, if you're wanting to ascend the tree, well, I'm not even going to go into that tonight just because we don't have all of that time. I'm just going to stay on this one thing. The one way that you use the lightning strike to manifest externally is picture something that you want to change in your life, something that you're either wanting to manifest or something that you dread is going to happen, something you hope doesn't happen, or something you do want to, whatever it is. It can be something you don't want and you want to banish it. It could be something you do want and you want to invoke it, bring it into you. It could be either one. But you're going to picture it in your head. And if you don't know exactly what to picture, what I always do is, if I don't know exactly what I'm wanting will look like, I'll just do a visualization, visualize myself looking happy. And I'll do the exercise to the visualization of myself looking happy. And I'll just know that the reason I'm happy is because whatever it is I'm trying to manifest is manifested. But you're going to start at the top of the tree. And you're going to, how whenever you do the Kabbalistic cross, how you stand and you visualize a light at the top of the universe and you keep inhaling and seeing it glowing brighter and brighter and brighter. And then you kind of reach up with the sword mudra and you touch the light at the top of the universe and you draw it down and you see it form a sphere at your head. Well, the way that you see that light at the top of the universe, that's your first step in doing this. After you've done the lesser banishing and or the lesser invoking, stand in the middle of your space and close your eyes. Picture the white light at the top of the universe and start in. Okay, sorry about that. Every time I see something, every time I see it pop up and say we're disconnected, I'm going to stop talking and wait for it to come back just so you don't miss anything. So you picture the white light at the top of the universe. You inhale several times, at least 10, and make it glow as bright white as you can possibly make it glow. Whenever you exhale, you see a shaft of light descend from that light at the top of the universe and down to the visualization of the person that you want to put it in, that you want it to fill up. See them filled up with that brilliant light of Kether. And then you're going to look up and you're going to see the light at the top of the universe turn gray, because pearl gray is the color associated with Hakma. And you're going to inhale at least 10 more times and see it glow as bright gray as you can possibly make it glow. After that 10th time, when you exhale, you're going to see the light, that gray light, come down through the universe and completely and absolutely saturate the person. Apollo says also intoning the appropriate holy name according to the proper sphere is good. The opposing Sephiroth must be worked in pairs, though, to maintain balance. Okay, this is actually really good, because what he's describing is how essentially you're going to get as much out of these rituals as you put into them. Whenever you see the light at the top of the universe, if you want to, don't just inhale and see it glow brighter. Inhale and also chant the divine name associated with it. So like when you're doing Kether, every time you inhale and see the light at the top of the universe glow brighter, you would vibrate and see the light at the universe vibrate with the intensity of it. And then whenever you're inhaling and seeing it, and then bring it down. And then whenever you see it turn gray, Same thing. Every time you inhale, you see it, glow an even brighter gray, and you vibrate the divine name associated with Hakma, Bana, all the way down. And here's the thing, when I'm saying do it at least 10 times, you don't have to just do it 10 times. You can do it 100 times. You can inhale 100 times and see that white light glowing brighter and brighter and brighter and bring it down. And then inhale 100 times, seeing that gray light glow brighter and brighter and bringing it down. The point of this, the reason I'm telling you about this, I've told you about this practice before, but there's a way that you can do it to differentiate between doing the spheres on the tree and doing planetary energies. If you're wanting that light at the top of the universe to be a planetary energy that you're bringing down, you only do one color. So for example, let's say that you have a friend who's having financial trouble and you want to bring the light of Jupiter down on them to, bless their expansion, their growth, their prosperity, all that. And since it's Jupiter, that's a planetary energy, you're going to see that light at the top of the universe turn blue. You're going to inhale, 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 see it turning blue, and then bring that blue light down on someone. If you want to do it not as a planetary energy, but as a sphere on the tree of life, you use two colors. So, and they're the, I forget what they call them, I don't think it's corresponding colors on the tree, but they start at Bana, like the top two spheres don't really have corresponding, Kether and Hakma. It really gets important when you get down to Bana on the tree, because Bana is Saturn energy. If you wanted to just invoke Saturn, you could see the light at the top of the universe as being black and bring that down on a person or a situation to get rid of. However, if you're wanting it to be the energy of Bana, you see the light as being black, but with a white outline around it. It's almost like a combination of white and black energy. You see mostly the black, but like with a white outline around it. And you inhale 10 times and you see it getting brighter and brighter. And then you bring that black light with the white background down on someone. Then for Hesed, the blue sphere, it would be blue light with orange around it. It's like orange and blue, or blue with blue and orange mixed together, but you see mostly the blue with just a vague outline of orange. So you would bring that down on someone for prosperity. If you from Hesed, you go to Geburah, the red sphere. So if you're wanting to invoke Mars, you do just red energy down on a talisman, down on a person, down on a crystal, down on a place. If you're wanting to invoke Geburah energy, it's red with a green outline. So mostly it's a combination of red and green. Red is what you mostly see, but with a green outline. From Geburah, you go to Tiphereth. Tiphereth is gold or yellow with a purple outline. That's what you would bring down on somebody for, balance, harmony, all that sort of stuff, success, victory. From Tiphereth, you go down to the seventh sphere, which is Netzach. If you're using just Venus, you can use green. If you're using Netzach, it would be green with a level or a layer of red around it. Just to go through the last couple, next you have Hod, the eighth sphere, which is orange. So if you're invoking Mercury, you bring just the orange light down. If you're invoking Hod, you bring orange with a blue outline around the outside of it, like blue and orange mixed together, mostly orange with a blue rim. You bring that down. Yesod, the purple sphere, it's going to be purple light with yellow or gold around it. Inhale, bring that down on someone. So someone was just asking, where was it? Let me see. 1 second. Someone was just asking a really good question. Where was it? Oh yeah, John MC says, is there a reason one would invoke the planetary energy rather than the Sephirah or vice versa? It really, a lot of it is preference. It's preference, and it's also what level of reality you want to work on. Some people just really prefer to. A lot of people only want to use elemental energy. It's just what they're comfortable with. That thing we read a while ago about whatever you're good at is what you'll keep wanting to do. Well, if the first thing that you ever experienced any real results with is elemental work, then you may never really want to move on from that. If planetary work is what you enjoy, then that'll be what you gravitate towards. So it could be based on just what you prefer, on personal preference, but it's also based on, from person to person, power. Since you're working with different levels of reality, it's going to manifest in different ways. If you work with the energy of the spheres, you're working on a higher plane of reality than if you're working with the planetary energies. You're working with a step up. Planetary energies are astral energy. Spheres on a tree are mental energy. So they're up at a higher level. That means whenever you use them to manifest something, it takes them longer. Not always, but as a general rule, it takes the energy longer to manifest in the physical world because it's coming from a higher plane of existence. But it usually also manifests in a more powerful way because it is coming. It's building up momentum, sort of, so to speak, as it comes downhill. So it can depend on either, number one, your personal preference. Number two, how much power do you need to add to this ritual? If you're doing a ritual to get a parking space in a crowded parking lot somewhere at, the Target, then you're not going to need as much energy as, you've got a family member in the hospital and you're trying to do everything you can to help them out. So that's a huge part of it. Oh, another thing I wanted to tell you guys about tonight is the Joshua Tree retreat. If they don't close everything back down before then, we're still discussing the exact dates right now. But I will be doing a Joshua Tree retreat, a retreat in Joshua Tree, 3 days long, at the end of September. I'll keep you posted when we get more details of that. But right now, unless they close everything back down, I'm going to be in Joshua Tree for 3 days at the end of September, doing another class on magic, hanging out. Wow, Shane says he's in Joshua Tree right now. Yeah, excellent. All right, just looking through your questions, seeing what you guys are talking about. Glitchwitch says she's looking for a cheat sheet somewhere that she can reference easily. I'm trying to think of where I saw those colors listed for the first time at, and I honestly cannot remember. But Kether, just brilliant light. You can rerun this. I'm going to go through it real quick, and you can rerun this later and write them down. Kether is just brilliant light. Hakma is light pearl gray. Banah is black with a white outline around it. Hesed is blue with an orange outlined around it. Geburah is red with a green outlined around it. Tippereth is gold or yellow with a purple outline around it. Netzach is green with a red outline around it. Hod is orange with a blue outline around it. Yesod is purple with a gold or yellow outline around it. And Malkuth is just plain old Malkuth. But yeah, that is beyond a shadow of a doubt the absolute. I have had more success using this ritual, just bringing the light down on things like that, on whatever it is I'm trying to manifest. I have never come across anything that was even half as effective as that. And I use it all the time, pretty much every day. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap this up a little early tonight. I am sorry. I am just kind of dragging. You know, honestly, it's like I'm having trouble even putting two sentences together because my brain is so tired. But I wanted to get on here. I'm trying, you know, as hard as I can to get back to having a regular routine and a regular schedule. Tasia says, I have never heard of the outlines. Do you know where the outlines come from? I'm not 100% positive. It may have something to do with like the king and queen scale of color. I cannot even remember anymore. The main point of them, and I'm going to shut up as soon as I say this, the main point of doing the outlines around the energy is to give you something to know when you're invoking planetary energy versus when you're invoking energy of the tree of life. When you visualize it with the outline around it, your subconscious, your unconscious, and your soul will know that you're basically telling it to invoke. If it's black with a white light outline around it, you're programming yourself to know that when you do that, you're invoking Binah. Whereas if you're just using the color black, then you're invoking the planetary energy of Saturn. That's what the biggest part of it is. That's what makes it practically functional. Is it's just another way for you to send more refined messages to yourself. You're telling your soul essentially what change you want to see in the world, and you're doing it through color. Okay. Yes. Okay, guys. I just want to say again, thank you so much for bearing with me during this time. You know, it's just been an insanely hectic time. And I really appreciate you guys sticking with me while I get my feet back up under me and get back to my routine. And I'm still doing things like getting a desk to set up in here where this will be more professional again. The one thing about it, you see the walls in the background, the red walls, I didn't even have to paint these. These are the same color as the red from my last place in New York, but they were already like this whenever we moved in. Okay, guys, thank you so much for bearing with me, and hopefully very good news for you in the very near future. All right, guys, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.